So they got him. His name is Frank James, and he's the alleged attacker in the subway carnage from yesterday. 10 people shot. Really, really bad. It looks like this is the guy who did it. We can't say officially. That hasn't been proven yet. Here he is in custody. Again, 62 years old, Frank James, and looks to me like he's a really bad guy, according to the stuff he said. But I don't think he's insane. Might be a little bit crazy, but he's not insane. I mean, what he says is really crude and really hateful, but it's stuff that I've seen before, and you too probably. Crude, horrible, hateful, but this is not new.
There should be no such thing as no African-American, American Negro. We exist as a result of criminal acts. Crimes against nature, crimes against humanity, crimes against everything. This is why we're here. They hate your guts. And why do they hate your guts? Because they know that your rightful place is as a slave in this country. They know that. You're the only one who doesn't realize that.
Your slave status is solidly established in the history of this nation and world. And we have done not a thing to move away from that. We prove day after day that the white man, yes, he is your master. He has mastered you.
Okay, Frank James's YouTube channel. Take out the curse words, and he could fill in for Joy Reid any night of the week. There's more, a lot more.
I keep telling you the same thing. White people and black people, as we call ourselves, should not have any contact with each other. You still refuse to understand this. This situation is only making that solid white majority more determined to do something they have had in the back of their minds but never wanted to bring to the forefront of their mind, which is to get rid of us. They just tolerate your existence. But one day our existence is going to be intolerable. And they're going to do what they do naturally. Kill. Commit genocide. This is what they do ultimately. When they become uncomfortable, when they start to lose what they have to find somebody to blame. It's not their fault.
This is stuff I've seen on MSNBC, podcasts at least. This is not as outside as the mainstream as it used to be 20 minutes ago before the world went crazy. This guy is bad. He's responsible, but he was listening to the current nonsense that's everywhere that was spewed for political benefit for the Democrats. There's more of this.
And let's not forget, I've been through a lot of where I can say I wanted to kill people. I wanted to watch people die right in front of my face immediately. But I thought about the fact that, hey man, I don't want to go to no prison. That. You useless white whore, dirty white. You want to look down at me? You. You about to be. Well, you already stupid. You trailer trash whore.
Yikes, I know, this is tough. Good thing we bleeping out the words. You hear that resentment, that hostility toward white women, hatred. Now, where did they get that? The whole country has gone on a cancel the Karen campaign. This is incredibly not outside mainstream thought. A white woman stands up for herself, gets into a slight argument with a person of color, and she can lose everything if someone takes out their phone. This guy's anger, we know where it's a reflection of everything he's been hearing for the past couple of years. One more.
The planet is reconfiguring. Climate change is desertifying arable land, which is land you can grow food on. Ocean rise is wiping out land you can grow food on. The population has to be reduced, you stinking black. You're filthy, and all that's on your mind is and fighting and talking like the slave you are.
I don't know what he's talking about there, but he was talking about it on YouTube. YouTube only removed these videos this morning. Up until he shot all those people, allegedly, everything was just fine. Kind of strange, right? All right, all this happened in New York City. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City. People are waking up. Some people were conned by his charm. He looks great in a suit and, big smile most of the time. Bad guy, bad mayor. Even Frank James had something to say about how bad a mayor he is.
Eric Adams, what the what are you doing, brother? What's happening with this homeless situation? I got on the E train. Every car, if I'm lying, I'm flying. Every car I went to was loaded with homeless people. And the odor, it was so bad, I couldn't even stand. I had to keep moving from car to car. I almost missed my train.
I'm not kidding. The E-train was my train for 5 years until 2 months ago. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. So, Eric Adams, this is a really bad thing, right? He's homesick with COVID, but he wants everybody to know how seriously he takes it from home.
People utilize social media and utilize their thoughts on not only criticizing or critiquing, but turning their thoughts and processing into violence. This is unacceptable. There's one thing to critique the actions of any government official, but to take an automatic weapon, unload 33 rounds into a subway system, wearing a gas mask, using a smoke bomb to carry out a deadly action is not acceptable. And we are going to apprehend him, prosecute him.
Democrats in New York City, by the way, they love the word unacceptable. It's unacceptable that he opened fire 33 times, shot all those people. Unacceptable. It's unacceptable if a fourth grader takes the peanut butter and jelly sandwich of the kid next to him. That's unacceptable. De Blasio was the same way. When a cop gets assaulted, it's not horrific. It's not an outrage. It's not a sin against society. It is, the same thing.
Look, the bottom line is anyone who assaults an officer, that's absolutely unacceptable. There must be consequences. We'll make sure the PD gets you an update on that investigation right away.
Unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. All right. We really got to work on that, guys. So Eric Adams on television. That's where he loves to be. He really has no administrative ability or anything to bring to the table. So what do you do in the meantime? Go on every show you can possibly go on, which I think this is a small sample of the shows he was on today, just talking about how unacceptable the actions of this individual were. Now, Eric Adams, I'm going to stay on him for a moment because you should know that he tried to hire his brother, Bernard, who is in charge of security at some community college in Virginia, to be his director of security at a salary of more than $200,000 a year. He needed his brother. Why? To help him fight off all the white supremacists. Yeah, 2 days after he became mayor, that's what he was saying.
My brother is qualified for the position. Number one, he will be in charge of my security, which is extremely important to me in a time when we see an increase in white supremacy and hate crimes. I have to take my security in a very serious way.
Did you hear it? Yeah, he said it. Why not? Every other Democrat was saying it. Joe Biden was saying it. White supremacy. White supremacy. Yes, I need cops to protect. I need my brother because of all the white supremacy out there. Everybody was saying it, still saying it. It's a phantom. It's a joke. But of course, it's responsible, right, for January 6th. January 6th. So let's talk about January 6th. Now, you've seen the cops let people in, the murder of Ashley Babbitt, but let's, for the sake of discussion, say that the Democrats are right. When it comes to Donald Trump and his language and what it led to, you know what they've been saying.
Obviously, Trump keeps lying about the election, and it's already led to violence once. It could lead to violence again.
There is no doubt Trump's words incited not just a protest. This was not a riot. This was an insurrection, a violent, fatal rebellion on the nation's capital.
The GOP is at a turning point over Trump's repeated lies about election fraud, which incited the deadly January insurrection at the Capitol, and warning that Trump's language could provoke violence again.
So if you believe that, if you subscribe to that, then it's logical. you have to accept that the rhetoric of the left, the propaganda of the left, not just the far left, not just crazy people on the internet, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, what they have said about this country, fundamentally racist place, systemic racism, the sin of slavery, our original sin, white supremacy, all this stuff, then something like this was bound to happen, right? A guy like that listening to the news? Quick review of Joe Biden and white supremacy.
We're confronting the stains of what remains the deep stain in the soul of the nation. Hate and white supremacy. And the violent, deadly insurrection on the Capitol 9 months ago, it was about white supremacy. Terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists. Focus on how to deal with the rise of white supremacy. We know now we must confront and defeat political extremism, white supremacy, and domestic terrorism. We've taken steps to acknowledge and address systemic racism and the scourge of white supremacy in our own country.
And it goes on like that. And some of those comments, you could say, well, that's all the way back in the campaign. No, some are more recent. And here's something from his Homeland Security Secretary, Mayorkas, the same guy who's blowing it at the border. He was in New York City on Friday, this past Friday, 4 days before the subway attack, at Al Sharpton's National Action Network, before an all-black audience. And what does he think they want to hear?
The greatest terrorism-related threat that we face in the homeland is the threat of domestic violent extremism. Individuals drawn to violence because of ideologies of hate or false narratives propagated on social media and other online platforms. And the most prominent threat is the threat of white supremacists.
There's your false narrative right there. These lies that they've told about America. People in authority undermining the institutions of authority. It's logical that a guy like Frank James, dark impulses in his head for a long time, but consider this. This guy was arrested about a dozen times over the years. The last time he was arrested was in 2007 when he was in his late 40s. It's very unusual for a 62-year-old man to, out of the blue, do something like this. I think he was awakened by all of this nonsense that Democrats have been pushing relentlessly, especially, well, the top, Joe Biden.